Most employers, which most employees don't realize, take a position that employees do not have a reasonable expectation to privacy in email or the contents of anything sent to or from an employer-owned computer. So that includes emails, anything, kind of tweets. If you're on Facebook while you're sitting at your computer desk, most employers take the position that that's freely able to be monitored and, frankly, the possession of the employer. However, these issues have becoming increasingly litigated up through our court systems, and courts are really looking at whether or not companies have electronic system policies in place, whether they have policies regarding social media, and what the precise contents of these policies are, and whether or not these policies actually put the employee on notice that their electronic communications and their internet activity is going to be monitored and that they do not have a right to expect privacy. So what are the elements we want to include in a social media policy? Number one, every company needs to have a policy. Whether you restrict access or not while an employee is during the workday, absolutely fine. But you need to have a policy, and the policy needs to say what and when. What is social media, and when is it okay for your employees to engage in social media? Every employee has a duty of loyalty to their company. Most employees don't necessarily realize that, but need to be reminded of that.
Typically, people should be celebrating that they have a new job. They should be celebrating that they have this new step in their career. And so often, they don't. So often they don't sit there and close the loop, communicate back, share the message. What happened? How did I get a new job? Can I help you? Yes, I have a new job. This is where I am. Make the announcement. Put it in a PR piece. Put it out in your social network. Put it out elsewhere. I mean, people I don't think are communicating that they're unemployed, and I don't think people are necessarily communicating when they get reemployed. So looking at social networking, it uncovers potential opportunities. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking, because the internet and Monster and all of these things are never going to get you a job. You are going to get the job. I think it's important that you, cultivate your own self-vision, and then you convey that self-vision on a social way, as well as making sure you step away from your computer, you step away from your BlackBerry, and you go and have the conversations and go and engage the people face to face. Find out what it is they're looking for. Get feedback from them by watching their body language. What are they thinking? What are they saying as they talk to you? Do you think there's really a opportunity there?
It's a lot more than the 20 recruiters that sit in an organization that should be socially recruiting for an organization. It needs to be all of your employees. If you have talent ambassadors where you're engaging 5 or 6 if your organization is under 1,000, 10 or 20 if your organization is under 10,000, that you can grab those employees and make them your ambassadors, put a strategy around them, allow them to blog, allow them to update their Twitter feeds, allow them to update their Facebook page. Then that employee value proposition all has meaning. When you do your social media monitoring, if you use a tool like Radian 6 or various other tools that are out there, when you do a search for working at company X, this is all the information that's going to come up. And well, by all means, people are starting on search engines. So you have to think about that. So how your employee value proposition shows up on a search engine is the most important thing for an employer brand. The use of technology has shifted the way we work. So for those of you that are in the recruiting space or that are looking for a job, you have to embrace it. You can't say, I'm going to sit on the sidelines. You can't say, I'm going to wait till next year or the following year. If you do, it's going to pass you by. Web 2.0 is evolving into 3.0 very quickly. If we were talking about social media 2 years ago, we would have been talking about Friendster and MySpace. And 4 years ago, we would have been talking about Classmates.com. And in 2 years, we're going to be talking about something else. 3.0 is going to take all of the networks that exist and kind of funnel them into semantic web, where content is going to be delivered very precise and specific for the user. So you can choose what you want to listen to, you can choose what you want to see. But if, as an organization, you're not engaged in that choice, then you're out, because people aren't going to find you.
So what I tell my job seekers to do is to go on Pfizer, if you want to work for Pfizer, and read the news tidbit that you get and see if it applies to your particular profession or industry, and then send a note in your cover letter about what you read on Twitter, and I think it will blow their minds, because most people are just sending your generic, bland cover letter and saying, "Dear hiring manager, I'm wonderful, blah, 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 and here's why I'm wonderful, thank you very much." They don't talk about anything related to the company. And here is this free information, free-flowing information from Pfizer on a daily basis. So I recommend to my job seekers that they go on Twitter, they find this information and stick it in their cover letter, or call someone and talk to someone at Pfizer about the information, and it's a great way to get a job. When it comes to LinkedIn, what you can use LinkedIn for is searching your interviewers before you go on the interview, find out about them, find out their extracurricular activities, see if there's any relevance to yours, see if they went to the same school you went to, see if they worked for a company that you know well. Have something to talk about before you go on the interview. Always be positive. If you're searching for a job, if you're tweeting, if you're Facebooking, whatever it is that you're doing, always be positive. Second is be yourself. So what I recommend there is create a brand for yourself. Even if you have a job, you never know when you're going to need that brand. Not every job is permanent anymore. I think we all have figured that out. That if you're in a job, you might need to have something in the future. So create a brand for yourself. Figure out what you really want to do.
Indeed has replaced Monster and Career Builder as the #1 place to look for a job. Now, again, go back to what I said earlier, Google. If you search for any job on Google, Indeed comes up on the first page, no matter what that job is. So Indeed and Simply Hire, and Simply Hire more than the ladders, are kind of replacing job boards, and that entire model is shifting.
I think with Indeed, one of the things you can do very specifically is you can select what kind of job, what kind of location, and then get feeds on that. So that's a positive that I would say. So I'm looking in New Jersey, and it has to be in 201, and it has to be in public relations. And they'll only send you things that are in 201, that are in public relations. So I think that's a positive.